Amid the scorching white sands of central Vietnam, in the storm-ridden, impoverished province of Quang Tri, a baby named Lê Văn Nhuận was born. No one could have imagined that from thatched roof beginnings, this child would grow up to become the guiding spirit behind the longest and most arduous resistance war in Vietnam's history, the war against American intervention. He was not a general on the battlefield, nor a diplomat frequently present on the international stage. Yet throughout nearly 2 decades of fire and blood, every step forward of the nation, every major battle, every earth-shaking victory bore his mark. The mark of a strategic mind, a will of steel, hidden behind the slender frame and deep, calm voice of a son of central Vietnam. His name was Lê Duan, General Secretary of the Workers' Party of Vietnam, chief architect of the comprehensive resistance strategy, a man who dared to think, dared to act, and dared to take responsibility before history during the most critical moments of the nation. When bombs howled over the Trung Son Range, when the North was carpet-bombed, and when the South groaned under the grip of invasion, he was the one who held the helm steady, charting the course toward independence and reunification with unshakable faith in the power of the people. Lê Duan, whose real name was Lê Văn Nhuận, was born on April 7, 1907, into a poor farming family in Bic La Dong Commune, Triệu Phong District, Quang Tri Province, a land of white sands and Lao winds, known for forging resilient and steadfast people. His childhood was marked by the flickering light of an oil lamp and the endless village roads. From an early age, he witnessed the suffering of his fellow countrymen under colonial and feudal rule. That pain ignited within young Nhuận a fierce spirit of resistance. When the Indo-Chinese Communist Party was founded in 1930, as if finding the guiding light, Lê Duan immediately joined the ranks, becoming one of the first party members, those who laid the foundational stones for the long revolutionary journey of the nation. From that point on, his life was bound to the word revolution, tireless, unwavering. He was active throughout central Vietnam, arrested and exiled multiple times, yet his spirit never yielded. The years of imprisonment only further tempered the resolve of this young communist soldier. For over half a century, Lê Duan devoted his entire life to the cause of national liberation, reunification, and the building of socialism. He lived simply, thought deeply, acted decisively, and left a profound mark not only on the resistance war against the United States, but also on the development of the Communist Party and the state of Vietnam after peace was achieved. On July 10, 1986, Lê Duan passed away in Hanoi, closing a life of 79 years, lived in full dedication to the nation. Yet his name and contributions continue to echo in the memory of the people as one of the most outstanding leaders of modern Vietnam's revolution. Role as General Secretary of the party during the resistance war against the United States, 1960 to 1975. Supreme leader of the party during the most challenging period of the nation. In 1960, in the context of a divided country and escalating warfare, President Ho Chi Minh decided to gradually withdraw from direct administrative duties to focus on ideological and diplomatic work. The responsibility of steering the revolutionary ship was entrusted to Lê Duan, a steadfast, decisive comrade who had spent many years in the southern battlefield. From then on, Lê Duan officially assumed the position of General Secretary of the Central Committee of the Workers' Party of Vietnam, becoming the highest leader in ideology, policy, and strategy of the party throughout the resistance war against the United States. In a time when each decision could determine the nation's fate, he was the steady hand at the helm, leading the entire party, army, and people through the most perilous moments in history. Not only was he a brilliant organizer, Lê Duan was also a man of profound strategic thinking and foresight. He mastered the laws of revolution, carefully read the enemy's movements, and firmly believed, only through offensive struggle can we achieve real peace and independence. Architect of the comprehensive resistance strategy, one of Lê Duan's most significant legacies was his role as the principal author of the political report at the Third National Party Congress in 1960, a strategic document that laid out the parallel development path for the 2 regions of the country. The North, building socialism, becoming a solid rear base. The South, conducting a national democratic revolution to liberate the country from U.S. Saigon domination. His consistent thought was that resistance could not rely solely on weapons, but had to be a comprehensive people's war, where every field became a front, every citizen a soldier. The resistance strategy he proposed emphasized a comprehensive people's war, integrating military, political, economic, cultural, and diplomatic aspects to form a solid position both materially and spiritually. The South as the decisive battlefield, to be prioritized in manpower, equipment, and close leadership. The North as the major rear base, not only supplying material resources, but also providing intellect, faith, and spiritual strength to the South. The entire people, the entire party, the entire army must coordinate harmoniously, maximizing the nation's combined strength. Thanks to that correct and consistent strategy, the resistance gradually shifted from defense to proactive offense, from partial struggle to total warfare. From the 1968 Tet Offensive to the 1975 Ho Chi Minh Campaign, every victory bore the deep imprint of the resilient and sharp strategic leadership of that General Secretary. Strategic offensive policy, turning the tide with proactive thinking. During the most brutal years of the resistance war against the United States, when the enemy held overwhelming advantages in military strength and modern weaponry, many leaned toward defense and endurance. But Le Duan, with his sharp strategic vision, chose a different path: proactive offense. He was the one who proposed and resolutely implemented breakthrough strategies, most notably the General Offensive and Uprising Plan during the 1968 Tet Offensive. Although it did not achieve a total military victory as expected, the campaign shocked global public opinion, shook the American will to invade, and marked a turning point that pushed the enemy into a prolonged stalemate. Not stopping there, by 1975, when the timing was ripe, it was Le Duan who firmly proposed the plan to liberate the South through a full-scale military offensive. He, together with the Politburo, developed the historic Ho Chi Minh Campaign, paving the way for the spring victory, developing the Southern Revolutionary Strategy, a vision ahead of its time. Remarkably, Le Duan's strategic thinking did not emerge solely during wartime. It had been nurtured early on. As early as 1951, while serving as secretary of the Southern Regional Committee, he drafted the Outline of the Southern Revolution, a profound theoretical document that laid the foundation for the entire struggle line that followed. In that outline, he made clear the Southern Revolution could not wait, but had to proactively combine political struggle with armed struggle. A people's war must be launched, drawing strength from the grassroots and the will of the people. The spirit of self-reliance, without depending on foreign aid, was essential for survival. From this analysis emerged the two-legged, three-pronged offensive strategy, which became the guiding principle for the path to Southern liberation. Commanding victory in the resistance war, from the desk to the battlefield. Le Duan was not only the one to set forth policies, he was also the one to organize and direct their thorough implementation, closely coordinating with the Politburo and senior military bodies. Under his meticulous leadership, major campaigns were successively launched. The 1968 Tet Offensive, a surprise blow in the heart of southern urban centers. The Spring-Summer Campaign of 1972, especially the Quang Tri Front, the first major victory with regular forces. The historic 1975 Ho Chi Minh Campaign, a lightning-fast operation that concluded the glorious resistance war that had lasted over 20 years. Le Duan was not merely a commander issuing orders. He was the one who instilled the spirit of proactiveness, speed, boldness, and certainty of victory into every level of command, from the Central Committee to the battlefield. Under his leadership, an entire nation rose up and ended the longest, most devastating war of the 20th century with a complete victory on April 30th, 1975. On that day, the country was unified. And in that glorious chapter of history, there remains a bold line etched with the name of the General Secretary, who devoted his entire life to the ideals of independence, freedom, and reunification. Ideology and leadership style. Throughout his challenging revolutionary journey, Le Duan was not only an outstanding organizer, but also a prominent thinker who shaped and directed crucial policies that changed the fate of the nation. His ideology and leadership style were clearly reflected in the following key characteristics. Unwavering commitment to socialism, the only path to national and human liberation. From his early days as a young party member, Le Duan established an unshakable belief in the proletarian revolution and the ideal of socialism. In his thinking, national independence and socialism were two inseparable facets of a single goal. Therefore, after the country's reunification, he continued to emphasize the mission of building socialism in both regions, considering it the ultimate destination for liberating people from injustice, poverty, and dependence. Sharp strategic thinking, seizing opportunities, and turning crisis into offensive strength. Le Duan was not only a political leader, but also a master strategist who could foresee what others could not. Even in the most difficult moments, he maintained a clear head, accurately assessed the enemy, and fully understood the strength of the revolution. From initiating the 1968 Tet Offensive to firmly choosing the timing for the liberation of the South in 1975, he consistently made turning-point decisions that shifted the situation from defense to offense, from passive to proactive. Absolute focus on the goal of national independence and reunification. In every plan and directive, Le Duan remained consistent in one principle: national independence and reunification were the highest goals. No matter the difficulty, even at the cost of blood and tears, he firmly pursued the path to ultimate victory, never wavering or retreating. Even when others suggested waiting, compromising, or negotiating, Le Duan held firm to his stance. Nothing is more precious than independence and freedom, but independence and freedom must be won by our own people. Emphasis on internal strength, belief in the people as the key to all victories. One of the most distinctive aspects of Le Duan's ideology was his deep belief in the power of the people. He always emphasized that revolution was not the work of leaders or the military alone, but the cause of the entire people, by the people, and for the people. He did not rely solely on international aid or external support, but encouraged the mobilization of internal strength and the spirit of national self-reliance. This viewpoint helped Vietnam endure through many long years of war and confidently engage in an unequal struggle and still achieve victory. Practical leadership style: proactive, creative, daring to think and do. Not dogmatic or rigid, Le Duan always linked theory to practice, evaluating issues from the perspective of people's lives and battlefield needs. He encouraged officials at all levels to think independently, act creatively, and dare to do new things as long as they benefited the revolution. He once said, "If we only repeat old experiences, there will be no revolution. To win, we must discover new approaches suited to the specific conditions of our country." That leadership style helped foster a generation of capable leaders who were unafraid of mistakes, undeterred by difficulty, and continuously took action in service of the greater cause. Le Duan's ideology and leadership style not only played a decisive role in the victory of the resistance against the United States, but also left a profound theoretical and practical legacy for the Vietnamese Revolution. He was the model of a strategic leader who could see far, think big, act boldly, and always place the nation's interests above all else, dedicating his entire life to a Vietnam that is independent, free, and prosperous. Legacy and enduring imprint. Le Duan, a name that has become a symbol of unyielding will, revolutionary creativity, and tireless offensive spirit, was not only the General Secretary who led the resistance war against the United States to victory, but also a strategic architect who laid the foundation for Vietnam's path towards socialism after national reunification. A flame bearer for the national liberation cause, Le Duan's entire life was a revolutionary epic, beginning in his passionate youth, following the communist ideal, through years of imprisonment, to eventually becoming the highest leader of the party during the most intense struggle in Vietnam's history. His name is tied to key milestones: the 1951 outline of the Southern Revolution, the 1968 General Offensive Strategy, and finally, the 1975 proactive plan to liberate the South. He did not directly carry a gun, but every one of his decisions was like a steel bullet piercing the enemy's defenses. He was not on the front lines, but he was the one who charted the path to battle for an entire nation ablaze with the desire for independence. A thinker who shaped the ideological framework for national development in war and peace. Unlike many leaders who shone only in wartime, Le Duan remained the guiding force even in peacetime, a challenging period when the country transitioned from the flames of war to the efforts of peaceful reconstruction. He was among the first to ask, how can a socialist Vietnam rise from the ashes of war? How can collective economics be developed, the old society reformed, and a new way of life built while preserving the nation's cultural identity? From these questions, his theoretical thinking on the socialist revolution under Vietnam's specific conditions gradually took shape. Though the path was filled with challenges and setbacks, his spirit of for the people, relying on the people, developing from internal strength, remained at the core of all the decisions he left behind. Leading major party decisions, laying the groundwork for a new development phase. During nearly 3 decades in key leadership roles, especially as General Secretary from 1960 to 1986, Le Duan, together with the Party Central Committee, introduced a series of strategic policies, reconstructing the North after American bombing campaigns, transforming production relations and integrating the South into the socialist system, promoting agricultural collectivization and developing heavy industry as a foundation, strengthening national defense and security amidst regional instability. Despite limitations shaped by historical context, it cannot be denied that the policies he and the party initiated laid the groundwork for independent, self-reliant development and created the basis for Vietnam to enter the renewal Diem era in later years. The greatest legacy Le Duan left behind is not only the historic victory of 1975, but a spirit, the courage to think big, act decisively, and take responsibility before history. His name lives not only in history books, but is also deeply etched in the hearts of patriotic generations, as a great guide on the journey from suffering to freedom, from war to peace, from division to unity. In the turbulent currents of the 20th century, a time when Vietnam endured colonial domination and faced brutal wars, there emerged individuals who not only lived for the nation, but lived with the nation. Le Duan was one such person. He was not a general leading troops into battle, nor an orator frequently appearing on the international stage, but he was the supreme strategist, the mind behind decisive plans that shaped the nation's destiny during its most harrowing moments. Le Duan was the embodiment of unwavering will to win, of relentless revolutionary spirit, and of action-oriented thought, a mindset grounded in reality. He not only faithfully inherited Ho Chi Minh's ideology, but also developed it through his own experiences on the southern battlefield, through a burning desire for independence, and through the blood and sacrifice of millions of patriotic Vietnamese. His contributions include leading the nation through its harshest trials to achieve independence and reunification, laying the foundation for the path towards socialism in a context filled with difficulty and novelty, shaping a leadership style defined by innovation, proactiveness, bold thinking, and a steadfast prioritization of national interests. Today, as the country enjoys peace and the people live transformed lives, each time we look back on that journey, we come to understand more clearly that victory did not come by chance. It was the result of a resolute vision, a heart deeply bound to the people, and an unbreakable will, all of which converged in General Secretary Le Duan. His name, alongside Ho Chi Minh, Vo Nguyen Giap, Trung Chin, is etched into the golden pages of national history as one of the most outstanding sons of Vietnam. A man who devoted his entire life to a great ideal, and when he passed, left behind not only a historical legacy, but also an eternal flame of spirit for future generations.